Here's my take. If you want a glimpse into the future, come to Berlin and walk down Kurfürstendamm, the bustling avenue often described as the city's Champs-Élysées. At one of the most prominent corners sits a new car showroom, unlike any I have ever seen. Sleek, elegant, multi-storied, with a cafe, design center, showrooms, and more. As you enter, you see what looks like a Bugatti or a Ferrari, except more stylish. It's an EP9, a top-of-the-line racing car that has been sold to a handful of customers for around $3 million each. The company behind it is NIO, one of China's new car makers, which is going to take the world by storm. 10 years ago, China exported a tiny number of cars relatively. Today, it is the world's leading exporter of automobiles, handily ousting Japan from that position. It is especially strong in electric vehicles. 2 of every 3 EVs made in the world are made in China. As we think about China's weaknesses these days, and it has several, it's worth remembering its formidable strengths and the degree to which it is intertwined into the global economy. NIO's cars are designed in Munich. It has research and development centers in San Jose and Oxford, England, as well as in Beijing and Shanghai. It assembles vehicles in Hefei, China. Europe is an interesting place to think about China. I traveled to 3 European countries this week, Germany, Italy, and Britain, and everywhere the conversation turned to Washington's policies toward China. Most of the political figures I spoke with were apprehensive. They were strongly behind the Biden administration's policies toward Russia and credited the president with uniting the West and infusing it with strategic clarity and purpose. They were far more worried about policy toward China and more generally about Biden's new international economic policies, as outlined recently by Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor. Former British Prime Minister Gordon Brown explained the European dilemma. Europe needs an industrial policy, but it cannot afford to mimic the administration's protectionism, he told me. For Europe, trade is vital. Its prosperity is dependent on trade with the rest of the world, including China, in a way that America's is not. Unlike America, Europe imports energy and is not self-sufficient. Despite the surface agreement across the Atlantic, this could become a growing divide. He acknowledged that the administration had made moves to expand trade ties, but expressed the concern that all of them are bilateral and regional efforts that might undercut global trade. They come, he said, at the expense of any real discussion of what a modern multilateralist order would look like. Helle Thorning-Schmidt, former Prime Minister of Denmark, concurred. Europe cannot divorce itself from China, she explained. That would be the end of globalization. That is why we want to de-risk, not decouple. De-risking, a term famously applied by EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, is the hottest phrase in diplomacy these days. Even the Biden administration now says that it also wants to de-risk rather than decouple. Sullivan reiterated as much right here on GPS last week. But many I spoke with in Europe worry that this is a rhetorical change and that American policies and Chinese responses will keep moving the ratchet up. When people in Washington hear these views, they often tend to dismiss Europe as too passive and pacifist, assuming that on China, the U.S. will have to build a new coalition with key Asian states like India, Japan, and Vietnam. But even with these Asian countries, there will be limits. China is a close second to the U.S. as India's top trading partner, and New Delhi is well aware that its future growth depends on maintaining a healthy economic relationship with the Middle Kingdom. Kishore Mahbubani, the former Singaporean diplomat and author of The Asian 21st Century, points out that discussions in the West often forget that the world's growth is mostly coming from Asia. He used his own region as an example. In 2000, Japan's economy was about 8 times larger than Southeast Asia, ASEAN. In about 3 years, ASEAN is projected to be the same size economically as Japan. The largest trading relationship in the world right now is between China and ASEAN, almost $1 trillion. And these countries cannot grow without open and vibrant trade, especially with China. America's strategic genius has always been to offer the world not a Pax Americana, designed simply to secure American power and weaken its competitors, but rather a global system that was open, free, and fair. We all need a well-functioning and expanding global trading system and multilateral institutions that work, noted Gordon Brown. Mahbubani recalled that President Bill Clinton often described the need for stronger global institutions by explaining that they would indeed constrain America, but also constrain the new rising powers in the world. He said, "We desperately need more of that enlightened self-interest from Washington these days."